All right, Shabbos, say good morning, good morning. Let us spend a few moments with Rabbi HaTzadik. So we're picking up on the same PDF that I had sent out on Sunday. I want to pick up today again in footnote Aleph, which is on the page Aleph, the bottom of page Aleph. You see that bottom section with the smallest print there. So that footnote Aleph. We started this yesterday, but let's pick up with it again because it's quite beautiful and profound. So that Rebbe writes as follows: "Says Ra'ei mashachatza Rabbeinu Le'el." So see what Rabbi HaTzadik wrote earlier. If someone has a tremendous desire for some type of physical want, right? Somebody has a tremendous pull towards some type of physical desire. A person shouldn't think that he's damaged because he has this overwhelming desire. And this will say, again, we mentioned this yesterday, but it's a really profound idea that often a person assumes that if I have some type of overwhelming desire for something, obviously that's something deficient in me. If I were a whole individual, if I were complete, I would not be desiring these things. The fact that I'm desiring it indicates that, again, there's something wrong with me. There's something broken in me. There's something damaged in me. Rabbi HaTzadik says, "Chas v'shalom." Don't think that at all. Ki adraba, the Rebbe says just the opposite. Hu kli muchan l'tokef avas uteshukas drishas ha'emes. That desire, that want, that physical lust, that shows ultimately again that I am prepared. I am prepared. I'm a utensil that ultimately again is prepared to receive incredible love and incredible desire for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Rabbi says, remember again, this links back to what did the Rebbe say yesterday? The Rebbe's whole idea was, first of all, recognize everyone has a physical Achilles heel. Everyone has a desire, a want, a proclivity, something that we've been struggling with throughout our entire life. And no matter how much I try to get it under control, this is like the bane of my spiritual existence. So the Rebbe said, the Rebbe's whole idea is to recognize that is not something that's broken inside of me, but rather that is something that ultimately HaKadosh Baruch Hu has placed in me. And if I'm able to somehow deal with this, right? If I'm somehow able to rein this in, if I'm able to master over this, that's where profound life success comes from. That's where bracha comes from. Just to finish off the footnote, he says, Ukimo. He says, "Kmo shenachmo sabala abaye v'alzeh amru de la'asid lavo tzadikim nidma lehem yitzhara kihar or Hashem kichot asar." This is a very beautiful idea. La'asid lavo in the Messianic era, when Mashiach comes. Remember, when Mashiach comes, so the Yitzhara as we know it kind of disappears. Whatever this means, that I don't know, does it mean that there's no Yitzhara in the Messianic era? It'll all be hard to believe because there's no real life without the Yitzhara. But whatever it is, something fundamentally changes. And the Gemara says, it's very beautiful. The Gemara says, the tzadikim nimam Yitzhar kihar or Shem kechot asayra. The tzadikim, their Yitzhara looks to them like a mountain, and the Rishoim, it looks to them like a hair. Ve'ino shaker rak shneim emes. And it's not a contradiction. To the Rishayim, it looks like a hair, meaning what? The Rishayim kind of lament the fact, why didn't we exercise more self-control over the course of our lives? Would have been so easy to master and to overcome and to rein in those things that are trying to hold us back. For the tzaddikim, on the other hand, the Yitzhar looks like a mountain. And they're overwhelmed by the heights that they were able to soar in vanquishing this Yitzhara. The point that the Gemara is trying to make over here is that even the tzaddikim face an uphill battle with their Yitzhara over the course of life. And I will say, to me, this is one of the most life-affirming pieces. All of us have struggles, but most of us, I would eventually, if not all of us, have 1, 2 things that we are perpetually struggling with. And over time, because we're unable to, quote unquote, to vanquish it, we feel like a failure. And we wonder to ourselves, like, what's wrong with me that I have this stuff going on inside of me? To which Rabbi HaTzadik says, there's nothing wrong with you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave that to you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you that struggle. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you that want. He gave you that lust. He gave you that desire. He gave you the proclivity. Now, He also gave you the tools to be able to rein it in. Now, by the way, maybe not destroy it. Like, I often fall back like to the mashal of like 12-step programs, right? Because I think there's a lot of godless in it. And one of the most incredible things is, right, the person, whatever the addiction is, the person is never recovered, right? He's always in recovery, which is always such a fascinating idea, that there is this recognition that there are certain battles in life that you can never say you've successfully won. You can say you've kept the enemy at bay, and that's tremendous, right? I've kept the enemy in check. The enemy's not, right? He knows, he's in a corner, but he's there. And I also know that if I let my guard down at any given moment, at the end of the day, he definitely could spring back and bless you. He definitely could spring back into action. And I will say, so it's such a tremendous metaphor, ultimately for Ruchnius as well. That challenge that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave me, that one thing that I've been battling with so much of my life, Hashem gave that to me. Hashem gave that to me because He wants me dafka to overcome that thing. And that's why I will say, so often it makes no sense. I could be doing so well in so many areas of my life, and then that one area of challenge kind of like sneaks up on me. But I'm doing so well in so many areas, because that's the area that HaKadosh Baruch Hu implanted in me. That is my struggle area. That is my ongoing life challenge. I have the tools to keep myself, so to speak, in spiritual sobriety. I have the tools to keep myself in check, but that's my mountain to climb. And I will say, how incredible is that? Every single one of us has that mountain to climb. Let's go right there. Back in the Be'urei HaChasidus. So we'll say that's the middle section here, right-hand paragraph. Right-hand paragraph, about 5 lines up on the bottom. He says, V'zeh Be'er, is actually really beautiful. V'zeh Be'er, Masha Amruzal, Al-Pasak U'Shavuel ben Gershom ben Moshe Nagid al Ha'otzaros. So we'll say, this is in Divrei Yamim, when ultimately, again, David HaMelech is appointing different people over Klal Yisrael. One of the people that he appointed, actually as his treasurer, right, in charge of the treasury, is a guy by the name of Shavuel ben Gershom. So the Gemara says, first of all, there's no person named Shavuel. Who's Shavuel? Listen to this. Shezel Yonasan ben Gershom. This was a man by the name of Yonasan, the son of Gershom. Listen to this. One of the big idolatries in the times of, before David HaMelech also, was what's called Pesal Micha. Pesal Micha, literally again, a pesal called Micha. This was a big one. In fact, the Gemara says, Chazal says that this idolatry was brought by the Jewish people through Yam Suf when they left Egypt. If you can imagine such a thing like this, right? Can you imagine? Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu split the waters for you. Literally again, the sea is split and you're bringing idolatry with you. Okay, so sometimes you can't ask kashas because the Gemara Maseches Avodah Zarah says we don't have that Yetzer Hara anymore. But they brought idolatry with them. One of the idolatries they brought was this Pesel Micha, this idol Micha. So like the treasurer for Micha, even Avodah Zarah, how can you run an organization without a board, right? Any Jewish organization, whether it's monotheistic or idolatrous, right? You need someone, you got to have a board. So the treasurer for Pesel Micha was a guy Gershom. Okay, get ready for this. David Now once David saw that this guy Shavuel, also known as Yonasan, really loved money. He loved money. So what did David HaMelech do? Mino ala otzaros. Left-hand paragraph in the Be'urei HaChasidus. David HaMelech appointed him over the national treasury. Over HaKadosh, and remember again, the treasury of Klal Yisrael belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. David HaMelech appointed him ultimately again over the treasury. Incredible sight. So the treasurer for like the biggest Avodah Zarah, David HaMelech essentially hired him away. Right? This was like he hired the CFO. The CFO of Pesel Micha, and hired him for Klal Yisrael. So the Rebbe writes, he says, the left-hand here says, V'lechora hadavar eino muvan. This doesn't make any sense. Hari haotzaros she'esmana alea ein na'asim shalo, v'lo nasan lo es haotzaros b'matana klal. Now, interestingly enough, we're going to get into this a little bit. Shmuel liked money. Right? Shmuel liked money a lot. Now, by the way, one of the ways we know that he liked money is the Navi points out that when people would go ahead and bring offerings for the Pesel Micha, what would Shmuel do? He would keep the nice animals for himself, and he would give the lean animals for the idolaters. Like, come on, it's idolatry. What is it? Doesn't matter. It's the idol's not going to matter. But for me, I'd enjoy a nice Zaftig cow. So he really liked money. So David says, oh, he sees the guy likes money. Let's put him in the Jewish treasury. So HaTzadik says, I don't understand how that makes any sense. What does Shavuel gain by becoming the treasurer, right? By becoming the CFO? It's not like the money is his, right? It belongs to the people. It belongs to Kadosh Baruch Hu. So how does he gain? He says, Ella rakifkid also lishmor aleim vimkein b'meh hisbiah eschem dasa bekach sheminol lezeh. How did David HaMelech satisfy Shavuel's desire for money by appointing him and putting him in charge of the national treasury? So, say if it's because Shavuel maybe got a nice salary, maybe David paid him a lot of money. So if that's the case, then it's not about the treasurer. It's not about the treasury. What is it about? What is it about? The salary. So then pay him a salary for anything. So at the end of the day, if it was about the fact that he received a lot of money for this post, then it has nothing to do with that he ran the treasury. It has to do that David HaMelech paid him a good salary. Well, if that's the case, then give him any job. Why do you have to put him in charge of the salary? We'll say, we'll stop here. All right, leave a little bit of a cliffhanger. Yeah, good. Leave a little cliffhanger. So we'll see again what's the pshat that somehow putting Shavuel in charge of the national treasury somehow addressed his incredible, insatiable desire for money. It may Hashem to be continued tomorrow and ultimately tie back to the original theme as well. Shkoyach.